All right. So on Google Classroom, I'm going to go ahead and present my screen. So we talked about constellations, the Earth's rotation and revolutions. We talked about the sun. We talked about some planets. Now we're going to talk about the moon, just specifically the moon. We as humans have landed on the moon, so we do have data about the moon. We see things that have to do with the moon, all kinds of things. So we're going to go ahead and go over there and scroll down to science. And we have a new assignment that's called Moon Phases, Notes, and Vocabulary. So there is a PowerPoint, which we're going to kind of look over together, review it together, and then based on the PowerPoint, we will work on the Google Slides. All the answers to the Google Slides are in the PowerPoint. Okay, so we're going to review the PowerPoint first. You shouldn't be able to open it until it's more than this.
Wait, can we answer it inside of
The slides? Yeah, you're going to answer things in the slides.
Alright.
So I'm going to just zoom in on this. We're going to go through the whole PowerPoint first and then talk about the Google Slides. So, are we good? Are we ready to do that?
Yes.
All right. If you would like to just be watching my presentation for now as we go through it, that is fine. You don't have to be filling anything out until I ask you to if you don't want to. Okay? What? Yeah, you can turn off your camera. You're the one that turns it on. I didn't do anything. Okay, so we're going to talk about the moon phases and how to understand them. Next slide. The moon is not a planet. It's a natural oh my gosh, sounded like New Yorker. It's a natural satellite that circles the Earth. There's no living things on the moon because there's no air or water. So it's not a star. It's just a really big hunk of rock that just circles our Earth, right?
I think there's air on Mars covering the moon.
Not air that we can breathe though.
Oh.
Yeah. The moon's orbit. So the moon orbits the Earth once every 27.3 days, which is about a month, which is why we have the moon phases that go through a month, right? Okay. The moon looks to be almost perfectly still when it's viewed from the Earth, but it's actually rotating on its own axis, taking about 27 days to do so. So the moon also has an axis that's through it that rotates on the axis too as it goes around the Earth. There's a lot of rotating in space. Have you guys noticed that?
Yeah.
Rotating and revolutions.
Wait, so the moon is complete one orbit every 27.3.
Yeah, it takes 27.3 days to go around the Earth. Yep.
So our months were longer than that.
Yeah. It doesn't necessarily align exactly with, like January doesn't have one, then February. It doesn't line up exactly with our months, but it's about a month. It would. So our moon is made up of rocks where you would find valleys and mountains and craters. If you look at pictures of the moon, this is what it's going to look like, right? There are some craters in there. They're usually caused, it says this in the bottom corner, by asteroids or meteorites hitting the moon's surface. So other big pieces of rock in space hitting the moon will create those craters.
But what if something hit it and knocked it out of place? Is that possible?
I don't know if that's possible or not. I hope that doesn't happen because the moon plays a huge part in what happens on Earth, right? So, did I answer a question as I said that? Oh, you're welcome. I'm just that good. The moon's shape. The moon does not actually change in shape. It's always a circle, like a big circle sphere in the sky. Doesn't change. But the bright part of the moon is the part where sunlight is reflecting off of the moon, and that's the part of the moon that we see when we look up at it on Earth. So it's always a big sphere, like so. Let's see.
I like that when you look up at the moon like that, is that you can kind of see the whole moon if you look at it from. Yeah.
So I don't know if I'll be able to see this. Can you see this? So it's always a big sphere, which is like a ball. It's always this, It's just that when the sun hits it at different angles and when it's rotating, you're going to see different parts of the moon, different slices of the moon, which is why we see like crescents and half moons and full moons and all of that stuff. Okay? Okay. Or no moon, right? Yep. So, let's go ahead and keep going. Moonlight. Stay awake. Yoshi, you awake over there? Good. Moonlight, the moon does not really give off light. The moonlight that we see is the sun's reflected light off of the moon's surface, kind of like a mirror. So the moon itself does not actually give off any light. It's a piece of rock in the sky. It doesn't actually have a light source. The light comes from the sun. So the sun reflects off of the moon and creates moonlight. So it's almost like a version of sunlight. Yeah, the sun hits the moon, right? The sunlight hits the moon and that reflects onto the earth. Kind of like a laser. If you were to hold up a mirror and the laser hit the mirror, it reflects back. Did that help the analogy of moonlight? Okay. So let's keep going. The moon's phases. This is what we see when we look up at it. Since the moon is always rotating around the earth, the appearance of the moon seems to be changing when it's viewed from Earth. This is what we call the phases of the moon. The phase of the moon is how much of the moon appears to us on Earth that is lit up by the sun. So it's the part of the moon that is reflecting sunlight. There's 8 phases of the moon. The first one starts at new moon, where you can't see it. There is no moon at all. The second one is a crescent, which is I don't know if you guys ever seen a crescent roll? Yeah, like the yeah. This is also a crescent. The shape of banana is shaped like a crescent. Okay? So it's kind of, when you look up at the sky, you might see a crescent moon. Okay? A first quarter is when you see half of the moon, right? A waxing gibbous is when you see about 3/4 of the moon. A full moon is when you have a full moon. I don't really know how to describe that one any other way.
Right here, look at.
And then the waning gibbous is the opposite side of the 3/4. It's going the opposite direction now. The last quarter is the other half of the moon. The next crescent, which is called the waning crescent, is that last 1/4 of the moon, and then it goes back to the new moon where there is no moon to be seen. Okay?
And then doesn't it just go back like that every?
Yep, and then it goes back through the cycle. It goes in the same order the whole time.
One of the easiest cycles ever.
Yeah, it is a super easy one. But getting them in the correct order can be kind of hard. Even I am bad at it sometimes. I have to look at a chart to make sure I'm going in the correct order. In terms of naming them. I can draw them, but I don't think I can name them all. Okay? The next one. Because the Earth is moving around the sun at the same time that the moon is orbiting around the Earth, it takes the moon 29.5 days to go through its 8 phases. So this is known as the lunar month.
You know what I like? When you look at a moon like that, that's not full, and you can almost see the shape around it because it's
It's pretty cool. Yep. So this picture right here shows how the Earth is rotating around the sun, and then you have the moon rotating around the Earth. Okay? Separate orbits there. The next one, this is a moon phase diagram. So if Earth is right here, the sun is over here on the right. This is how the phases of the moon would go.
Oh, so that's what that is on the calendar. Then if it's open, then.
Yeah. My calendar doesn't have it. So if it's dark, it means that it's the dark part of the moon. January. Where are you looking?
No, January 27th.
This? No, that's the hole in the paper.
Oh.
Let me try though. Okay, so if you see on these charts a filled in circle, that is a new moon. That's the dark part that you cannot see of the moon. And then, yeah. And then the opposite of that, if it's all white, that means that you can see the full moon.
So that the white means the moon.
Yeah. The white part is where the moon is. So the crescent over here is the moon. The first quarter is this half. The waxing gibbous is this 3/4. Then you get the full moon. Then the next one, you go backwards. The waning gibbous gives you 3/4 of the moon on this side. The last quarter gives you half of the moon. And then the waning crescent gives you this little crescent over here. And then it starts over again and goes in a circle again. It just is. Next part, waxing and waning. When the bright part of the moon is getting bigger, the moon is waxing. So waxing is bigger. Wake them up. Apparently, you guys can't seem to stay awake today, which is not great. I don't know. There's like 3 of you guys that keep falling asleep. Kaylin, wake up. Thank you. Okay. When the moon is waxing, it means that it's getting bigger. If it's waning, it's going away. Okay? Basically how it goes. All right. Then we have the names of the phases. So the phases of the moon are named after how much of the moon we can see, whether the amount is visible, if it's increasing or decreasing each day. So the new moon will look like so, where you cannot see the moon at all. New moon. I'm going to keep going through it a little bit quicker because we wanted to make sure we do the rest of it. A waxing crescent moon means that less than half of the moon is lit up on the right side. Yeah, you can. And you can also, if you look close enough, see craters and stuff in the moon too. Okay, the first quarter is when you can see half of the right side. So the right side is lit up, the right half. Okay. The next one, the waxing gibbous, means that more than half of the right side is lit up. So you see most of the right side lit up. All right. The next one is the full moon, where you see the full moon lit up. Okay.
I like saying a blue moon or a red moon or one of those.
Yeah, those special moons.
A plain old white moon.
Yep. The next one, the waning gibbous, is now the left half. The left half, 3/4 of the moon are lit up on this one. Okay. The last quarter means that the left half of the moon is lit up on this one. The waning crescent means that you have a crescent on the left. It does look really cool. And then it goes back to the new moon at the beginning. Okay? And then there's a little bit more vocabulary there that we've said about 5 times. I don't remember. Okay, here's another chart of it. There's like 8 different charts on here to show you the different ways that it can be shown. So you start off at the new moon and then go through the moon phases here. Okay. And then there's a do you remember?
Oh, and there's a solar eclipse.
Maybe not. We'll skip that part because we're going to do a whole thing on it. Okay. A lunar calendar is based on the phases of the moon. A lunar month is 29.5 days, and it's a little shorter than our average month, which is 30 and 44/100 days. But can you tell where the new moon and the full moons are?
Yes.
Can you tell the difference there?
Mm-hmm.
The new moon is when the moon is dark. So these middle parts, the moon is dark.
It seems like in January it has the longest amount of time till it gets to the moon.
Mhm.
And then it goes in December, it has the shortest amount of time till
Don't you wake up?
Yeah, it changes.
doesn't it stay like a full moon for a while and then it goes back?
It's only one night. It just that it takes a little while sometimes for it to look like it's less. Yeah. Okay. A lunar eclipse is when the Earth is exactly between the moon and the sun. So none of the sun's rays hit the moon. So essentially, you can't see the moon. Basically, it's dark.
I wonder when the next solar eclipse will happen.
I do not know. And then the opposite side of that, a solar eclipse, is when the moon blocks the sun. So you tend to see this like ring around the sun or the moon when you see those ones. Couple of fun facts. Countries that are near the equator will see a crescent moon that's shaped like a smile instead. So it's more of an up and down type of moon than a side to side moon, which is kind of cool. Another fun fact, scientists are not really sure how the moon was formed. A popular theory, so what they think might have happened, is that a rock the size of Mars named Theia crashed into the Earth billions of years ago, and the debris from the collision clumped together to make the moon. So they think that potentially a really big asteroid hit Earth, broke part of it off, and created the moon up in the sky.
Okay, so the next solar eclipse is going to happen next year, December 4th, but we won't be able to see it.
Is it at night? Or is it on the other side of our world?
We won't. North America won't be able to see it.
Yeah. All right, so what we need to do now is our set of Google Slides. Okay. This shouldn't take us too long. Just a couple of pages of things to do. The first page is just vocabulary. A lot of the vocabulary that we just went over in that slideshow. I'm not going to go over it all again because on slide number 2, you guys are going to be doing some matching. So I want to give you 5 to 10 minutes to do that matching. Now, if you pay close enough attention, the definitions on this page on slide number 1 directly match the definitions on slide number 2. So your ability to read and be like, oh my God, those are the same words, should get you through this next slide. So I would very much like you guys to do this one on your own, please. Okay, so do slide number 2. You can do it. Slide number 2. Good. I'm going to give you guys 5 minutes. You don't need 20 minutes because it's just reading and typing in a letter. You can do it. What? No. Slide number 1 is used to answer slide number 2. So do that, please. Okay, be working on slide number 2. All right.
This word is
Okay, be completing slide number 2.
yeah, this one. I get it now. I get the concept of it.
You're matching. Yep.
So you also have first one too?
Yeah, you're supposed to use slide number 1 to help you with slide number 2.
Oh, I thought you were using one called.
Nope, go back. Use slide number 1 that has a list of vocabulary words and their definitions to answer slide number 2 and do the matching. Okay. Once you guys get older and you're out in the real world of having jobs and stuff, you'll realize that people don't tell you that you can't go look things up to help you. Like, it's really just in school where they're like, take a test without looking up anything. You don't get any help. But in the real world, if I'm creating a presentation to give to my coworkers, I'm allowed to do the research and make sure it's a good presentation. And if they ask me a question and I don't know the answer, I'm allowed to look it up and find the answer. So use the idea that you can use the tools that are given to you to help you out in life. You don't have to just always do things from the top of your head. You can always use the internet, use people around you, unless specifically stated that you can't. Right? It's a very common misconception that school mimics real life. Doesn't always. I'm going to give you guys about 3 more minutes to do that matching. Cool. Go and just sit tight. We'll move on in a minute. Hmm?
When did you use this?
I have not used it. I got it from Miss French. No. She was just moving and didn't want to deflate it, so she gave it to me. And I would not have the time or patience to make that, so I was like, okay, cool. Yeah. Okay. I can see some of you guys finishing up slide number 2, but I can also see some of you guys not typing anything. And if that's going to be the case, then I'll just grade it instead. So you should be trying these on your own instead of me giving you the answers. I wasn't singling you out. I was just making a blanket statement to let you know how this might go if I don't see people trying it. I know, but you don't have to comment on everything. Okay. Alright, so be filling out slide number 2, doing that matching. Using slide number 1. If you're done, sit tight. What week are we in? 23? I think so. Okay.
Oh, I know what you do with this. You go like this, whichever way it's going on.
No, you're supposed to throw it around the room, and whatever problem your thumb lands on, you do that problem.
Oh, wow. I thought it was the color.
You just throw it around the room to people. Sorry, no. But maybe. But also is not very COVID friendly, so probably not. Sorry. But that's what we used to do. At one point, we used to switch classes, where 6th grade would switch classes, right?
RTI? Oh, no.
No, like
Yeah, like that.
I taught math, Miss Milligan taught reading, and then whoever the other teacher was, it was Miss Jefferson at one point, Mrs. Gonzalez at one point, not her name, Gutierrez. We used to
Wasn't
switch.
it last year we did it too?
No, we didn't switch last year. Last year's the first year we didn't.
Some classes did.
We switched for RTI, but we didn't like do like subjects where I only taught
I
math.
saw some kids that were my friends in different classes. Like,
Yeah, it was probably for RTI.
that one's kind of cool, though.
I remember that time we used to play capture the flag with other classmates.
Yeah, we used to.
Outside?
Yeah.
And I've seen most of you guys actually finishing it now. That's good.
I'm almost finished.
I know I'm giving you a little bit more time.
Oh my, it landed on
Gosh darn it.
120 divided by 10. So,
Okay, should be finishing up slide number 2. Looks like you guys are getting there.
oh, I landed on two problems.
Then you just choose one. Or do both. Alright. Next. Okay, about 30 more seconds. Looks like a lot of you guys are getting close to being done.
Can we use the other thing for the answers?
Yeah, that's why it's there. Please do.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
I'm done.
Alright. Let's go ahead and review this page, and then I'm probably going to have you guys work on the next page or so kind of independently. So, Let's match number 1. Which one represents the moon? Which definition?
Iris, wait. Come on, that one?
What letter? H?
Yeah.
Earth's natural satellite is correct. H.
And then that's gonna C.
Okay. Number 2 is a phase. What's that?
C.
See, one of the different shapes of the moon as seen from Earth. Okay. What is a crescent? Eye. Less than half of the moon is lit up. Good. That is a crescent. What was it? Eye? Okay. What about gibbous?
A.
A. More than half of the moon is lit up. Yes. Okay. A quarter. F. Half of the moon is lit. Good. A new moon.
K.
Oh, I got 2 answers there.
J. Oh, never mind. J. I was looking at the wrong one.
Oh, okay. J. The moon is not visible from Earth. That is correct. It is J. Not visible. What about a full moon?
It's E.
E. The entire moon is lit up. Good. Waxing.
And next one is B.
This one is B. The lit part of the moon is getting bigger. So if it's waxing, it's getting bigger. That is correct. Good.
Now G.
Waning is the opposite. If it's not getting bigger, it's getting what?
G.
Smaller.
And G.
The lit part of the moon is getting smaller. G.
And a lunar eclipse.
Good. And then we only have one left. A lunar eclipse is when
B.
the Earth blocks sunlight from reaching the moon. D.
Oh, right.
Good.
I think we all did.
I would hope that you guys would get them all correct. The answers are right there for you. Okay. Now, we've done slides 1 and 2. Slides 3
And 4 are on our own.
and 4 all come from the slides. Now, there are a couple of things on slide number 4 where it asks you to draw a waning gibbous, a last quarter, a waning crescent, and then it also wants you to draw a waxing crescent. Do you think we're going to be able to draw that very well on here?
No.
How could I do that then?
Copy and paste.
Google a picture, copy and paste one in there.
Another example, you could use the internet.
Yep. So, we went over all of these questions. Every single question is answered in those Google or the PDF, those slides that we just went through. It should go in order. So if you start at the top and you just go through the slides, it should just go directly in order for you. Your goal for today is to just get these answered. I am going to take this one as a grade just to make sure that you are paying attention and learning and can get the information from the PowerPoint onto a set of slides. Make sense?
No.
Any question about what needs to be done? No? Okay.
No.
So go ahead and be finishing up these slides, please. I will put on a little bit of music. Sure.
This one, John, so on number 4 it says, what is the moon made up of? Rocks, mountains, trees, and sand. Would that work?
All right. So I put in the chat what you need to do. It just says, please use the PowerPoint to complete slides 3 and 4. That is your goal. For those of you online, once you finish, you can get it turned in, but please finish first, get it turned in, and then you can head out, but complete the slides first. I'm going to stop our recording because we don't need to record this.